All right, let's meet Ernest Cline, aka Ernie. Here he is in this picture sitting next to George R.R. Martin in a DeLorean. He's friends with George R.R. Martin. All right, in this 2014 profile of Ernie Cline in The Verge, written by Ellis Hamburger, he said, quote, "I think humans would willingly enslave themselves because we now have the technology to create a reality better than the one into which we were born. Here, we can control everything." End quote. Yeah, that's interesting. Wish it was in the movie.
What here is he talking about?
He's talking about like his sort of general operating philosophy and why he writes the kinds of like.
But what's here? He's saying here we have everything. Where? Virtually?
In I guess Ready Player. He's speaking more generically, but think of it in terms of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And he's like, all futures are also bleak. Why can't the future be fun?
But I like that it's both the reason why you might be optimistic about it and its downfall, because there's a line in the very beginning of the movie about when we stopped trying to fix things and just started dealing with what we had, or I don't know what the line is, but yeah, you can be so taken over by your virtual life that you stop being productive at all in anything outside of it. Everything is just a means to get better equipment to experience your virtual life better, and then all the shit around you just starts crumbling.
Yeah.
I have thoughts on what is and isn't part of the virtual life in this movie, however. So,
okay.
Get ready for those when appropriate.
Ernest Cline grew up as a big nerd. I'm just a big nerd. I love Star Wars and D&D. And he also, the crucial other thing that he loved was John Hughes. He taught himself screenwriting by reading each John Hughes script and comparing it to the movie.
I love John Hughes too, but I don't let that be my personality.
I like John Hughes as a director more than a writer. I think that his style, I think that the teenage style of talking that he makes his kids talk in kind of annoys me. And knowing that, now seeing it in Ready Player One, I'm like, oh, maybe that's also why I'm allergic to this kid.
You also hate kids.
I hate kids. Hey, we watched AI last week. I loved that.
You like a robot kid. You hate the other kid.
I like the Jurassic Park kids.
Fine.
I like Elliot.
You don't like kids. I guess that's not what I mean. They have a bigger they have a bigger hill to climb over for you, because you default to being aggravated by kids in the way that they speak, or at least the way that they're written for in general. You don't like too much of a stinker. You like just the right kind. So,
but I would posit that Parzival / Wade, he's not a kid. He's like 19. He's just a little adult. There's nothing kiddish about him except the way he fucking looks. I want to punch his face.
Okay.
So Ernie wanted to combine his two loves, wanted to write a really nerdy story led by a John Hughes hero. And he would write screenplays on spec and publish them online in the 90s, get lots of nerd attention. And he also participated in slam poetry contests, including a famous slam poem named Nerd Porn Auteur. Look this up. It's incredible.
Disgusting. When did he write this?
2000, I believe.
I mean, he was ahead of the curve on like being nice to ladies, even in his disgusting way. At least he's okay. Matt made me listen to this bullshit. He at least is like bringing up the point that we are fully formed, able to be smart people, but we just want to totally fuck him all the time too. So he at least did a little something.
The premise is like, guys are too into like dumb bimbos with big boobs. I want a smart girl who's a nerd and knows what.
Right. I want to isolate the other half of women and then focus on this half with the other guys. They do the opposite. It's like, well, you're still being a dick to half the women, or however you want to split it up.
Yes.
You're not smart enough, baby. I don't care about your fake boobs or whatever the hell.
But you can see,
some toxic shit in there. Yeah.
You could see the toxic nerd in there of the gatekeeping. Like, well, a real woman needs to know what Tatooine is, and a real woman needs to be able to discuss the Alien franchise.
Right. What is a woman, Ernie? Fucking incel.
So,
okay.
Yeah, he...
boys don't like it when I say incel. Sorry.
They don't?
They don't like it.
Who?
Anyone that hears it and doesn't like it, it's probably an incel.
Oh, I love it.
Do you love it?
Yeah, so keep doing it. Because
you're not one.
Keep doing it. Okay. No, I'm a volcel.
Oh, vol.
AKA a married man. Am I right, guys? So In 2000, he wrote a screenplay on spec called Fanboys, in which some Star Wars fans break into Skywalker Ranch to steal a print of The Phantom Menace before it's released so they can show it to their friend who's dying of cancer. Okay, he puts this screenplay online. It actually gets a lot of attention and comes to the attention of internet nerd geek king Harry Knowles, super problematic guy, but at the time everybody loved him, and he said, you got to read this screenplay. And so it was widely shared online, and after a few years it came to the attention of Kevin Spacey, who contacted Ernie Cline
Only
and
the best people
bought the screenplay so that it could be produced for the Weinstein Company.
This is a beautiful marriage of men.
The movie Fanboys, which came out in 2009, was not received well, and Ernie Cline blamed Harvey Weinstein for taking his scissor hands to the thing, and he decided he was going to quit screenwriting and turn his attention to the thing that he could control the most, which is writing novels.
Women.
Which is the same thing his future friend George R.R. Martin did. Who tried writing in Hollywood and was like, you can't put that on. We can't put that on screen. It's too expensive. So he's like, well, I'll write my own books about dragons and stuff. I thought you'd find that more interesting. So he writes Ready Player One, the novel, and there is a bidding war among publishers for this hot novel.
Wow.
And
that cover art, though, excuse me, that's just very cute.
You like it?
I like.
Okay, what do you like about it?
I like the little hidden Easter eggs. I like that it's retro but feels modern the way that they applied it to the edges that way. Obviously, the hidden little Pac-Man and then the other little guy running around trying to get an Easter egg. It's just a good use of font that is meant to feel retro but somehow comes off modern.
It's
I don't need your opinions. I'm the graphic designer.
No, it's good.
Okay.
It's a good. I've never actually looked at it. I've read this book.
This is why we are different in our roles in our company, my love.
I read the book. I read it right before the movie came out, and it's not a good book. It's very annoying. I didn't like it at the time.
Okay.
The movie's way better. Yes.
Does it make you push a button and then one of the 80s songs plays and you're not allowed to turn the page
Right.
until it finishes?
Right. It's yes. Now please do play Van Halen's Jump. Or
Sure hell.
the book is nerdier. It's like the movie does sort of more popular references than the book does.
Ugh, of course he'd hide like lingo that people would have to look up. It's like the book itself is a club.
Yeah.
Either you get it or you don't get it.
I read a review that said, from 2011, you're going to need to read this with Wikipedia open. And this was it before Gamergate, before like nerd culture completely absorbed all of pop culture.
Before it was revealed for its toxic side, it still was pretty innocent. Like these are the non-harmful men.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They were sick of being friend zoned and thought of as not a threat. It's funny because that's what they'll lean on, but they deep down men want to be thought of as a threat, I guess.
Well, okay.
Or we're taking something away from them if we don't also fear those boys. I don't know. They don't want it and they want it.
I feel like Lacey's saying some big stuff.
I maybe delete this.
Making some big claim. So
got no evidence.
Yeah, you're right about that. But I think the other thing that it sort of anticipated is just mashups. Now we hadn't had all of the multiverse movies that we've had. We didn't have Ready Player One, the movie. We didn't have Space Jam: A New Legacy. We didn't have.
How could we go without mentioning that?
But that is a movie where all of these different pop culture universes go together. You haven't seen Space Jam: A New Legacy, Lacey? See, you don't see LeBron James and Bugs Bunny going into a Clockwork Orange and Casablanca and Lord of the Rings.
Never mind, I get it now. I don't know. I've not seen that.
Or the Ryan Reynolds movie Free Guy, or Deadpool and Wolverine coming this week, where all these worlds are going to collide.
We're in the dystopia.
We're in this dystopia of pop culture mashups. Anyway, before the book is published, Cline hires a producer named Dan Farah, and they start developing the project as a movie, and there's a bidding war for the rights to adapt the movie before the book is even published. Warner Brother wins. Ernie Cline writes the screenplay. The novel's a big hit. The guy who founded Oculus, the VR company, he tells or at least back then told all of his employees they needed to read Ready Player One before starting to work there. And so Warner Brothers gets the rights. They hire Zach Penn to rewrite the script, and they offer the project.
Name.
yes, who also wrote the movie Ants, which I just made a video about on our YouTube channel.
I definitely watched it.
He said, I really want to make a movie about an ant played by Woody Allen. So they first offer Ready Player One to Christopher Nolan, and he turns it down. And eventually the project goes to Steven Spielberg. It's going to be his next movie after the BFG, except he ends up making another movie between wrapping production on Ready Player One and putting it out. He went ahead and made another movie called The Post.
There's two movies you love in this weird 2010s he had.
It is a
and the
strange
rest
period.
you do
Yeah.
not.
Starting with Schindler's List, he will kind of alternate a more traditional Spielberg story with a very like serious minded look at usually a historical event. Schindler's List and Amistad, Munich, Bridge of Spies,
And a kids
The
movie.
Post.
He likes to sprinkle in movies that are just for kids.
Yeah, so in the 2010s, so 2011 he releases two movies, I think within a week of each other: War Horse and Adventures of Tintin. War Horse, this very sincere, classic, epic, pretty big screen war movie
it
starring a
good?
horse. Not really, but it gets a Best Picture nomination because it's like, I don't know, Spielberg made a big war movie, so it's gotta be good, right? It's okay. It's pretty. And then he releases Adventures of Tintin, an all mocap movie that is pretty good. It looks kind of weird.
It's his Polar Express.
It looks way better than Polar Express though. But it's interesting to see him like, what if I could make an Indiana Jones movie where there were no rules about what I could do?
Oh, I remember the
with the
movie now,
camera.
you saying that. It did feel very indie.
Yeah. Then he made Lincoln, which is actually his biggest hit of this era at the box office. And it was a big,
Daniel Day-Lewis, though.
that's true. But I remember you and I went to see that movie like a few weeks after it opened, and the theater was packed. And afterward, a woman went up to you in the bathroom and said, Abraham Lincoln wasn't actually that good.
Of a person?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
That movie was bullshit. Okay. Then he does Bridge of Spies. Then the BFG. The BFG is so weird. It's like, I'm going to make just a children's movie. Nobody likes it. It's a flop.
Yep.
And then The Post. And then Ready Player One. And Ready Player One, at the time, I was like, he's just trying to make a hit. Like, why is he doing this? This is so strange.
God, I don't think it's a sure thing, what he made.
It's not a sure
It's a
thing
huge
at all, but I could see why they might think it would be.
Okay. Well, show me his next 10 years.
Well,
I feel
after that-
deprived.
It's only two movies after that. It's West Side Story and The Fabelmans.
Where you been, Spielberg?
Where in
Raising tits. I was trying to say kids.
But Ready Player One was a big hit. I remember it being kind of a disappointment, but it actually made $600 million worldwide.
It's good. It's fucking interesting. I'll watch it again tonight. I did not once feel bored. And I'm not saying his other movies bore me constantly or anything like that. I am saying it takes a lot that time of night, especially when our wild kid is still very awake, for me to not get kind of pulled in and out. Mm-hmm. And
That's true. You were super energized.
engaged.
But at the beginning of the movie, you're like, this movie rules. And I feel like you didn't say that.
I stopped reporting to you because of your noises.
I think that the first half of the movie is a lot better than the second half. Do you agree?
No.
Ugh. We're going to be at odds this whole time.
Oh, no.
Well, one final thing. Who the fuck is Tye Sheridan? And I'm sorry to you, Tye Sheridan, but you're a rich man who's gotten a star in... he's gotten a star in all these big movies.
But you don't know who he is. So obviously he was a thing that didn't become a thing, right?
Except like I look at his filmography and it's like, okay, yeah, he's in lots of TV shows and HBO shows and movies I've not heard of. And
he is a perfectly attractive enough avatar, to use that word again, for the writer and the director of this movie. You can't have he's handsome, but there's something non-threatening about him.
okay, that's the ideal. You want a Luke Skywalker sort of character who's a little bland.
Yeah.
But this guy is actively obnoxious. The way he talks, this cadence, his like
What are you
preschool
talking
child delivery of lines.
I guess
We come to the Oasis for all the things we can be.
Okay, but he relates so hardcore to Daniel Halliday. Is that his name?
James Halliday.
James Halliday, who clearly has autism. There's no way that he does not.
Okay, and I do not like performances that
Yeah.
that code themselves as neurodivergent without saying that
it.
they're
No,
neurodivergent.
100%. But that community probably has, I mean, every community has a lot of neurodivergent people in them. So I guess I was kind of picking that up in him as well. In the main character, he's just not really about his words. He's about his deep thinking, even if he doesn't sound deep when he says it.
I hate the way this guy looks, moves, carries himself,
hate the way he
says things, both in the real world and his avatar. Why does his avatar look so boring? I hate it. Tye Sheridan got his start in the movie The Tree of Life as one of the two sons. Lacey and I went on an early date to see this movie.
Yeah.
What do you remember about The Tree of Life?
It's sad.
Yeah. I think he's the brother who doesn't die. And later he's in
One
the
of them
movie
died?
Mud. And then he played young Cyclops in X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh, he got Cyclops chin.
And Cyclops is boring. So yeah, it makes sense.
It's perfect.
So yeah, this is going to be an annoying episode where you're like, no, but see, I think that the boringness is the point. And I make those arguments too. This guy really grinds my gears. I don't know.
Well, what about everyone else?
Yeah, fine. I mean,
I like the bad guy in this movie. I love that he has a lisp.
Yes. Love Ben Mendelsohn.
You were really giving some business to TJ Miller, who I think is a delight. I mean, there were a couple line deliveries that are like, okay, that's so him that it's almost aggravating. But I mean, every time he was on screen, you were so fucking annoyed with him.
He annoys me in general.
I love the contrast between who he is and his avatar. I think it's hilarious.
And it's not, but he is a sex predator, and that's not not why I can't stand him.
I need a list.
But look, I just watched Deadpool a few days ago, and he was so much more annoying in that than he is in this. I was less annoyed with him than you thought I was.
Deadwood, and I'm like, he's not in that
Deadwood. How can you imagine?
No.
So, no, I thought he's perfectly fine in Ready Player One. Olivia Cook as Artemis is good. Obviously should be the lead of the movie. Everyone else, you know what? And this is another difference between us. I think nicknames, when people use each other's nicknames, it drives me crazy. They're always Z, Artie.
That's
Z.
normal. That is what people actually do.
No, I hate it.
Okay.
Disgusting.
Don't ever be familiar enough with me to give me a not my name.
If we do that, it'll be believable. When they do this in this movie, I'm like, fuck you. You don't know each other. Artie.
Okay. But if this is the way that you meet people and you don't usually talk to the people you meet, you game with them. The fact that these two avatars had any kind of interaction that wasn't just straight up them playing in a game together, that's as meeting someone as you fucking get in this reality. Mm-hmm. So I think you could probably fast forward a few days and recalibrate your brain. It's not like right now. They hardly ever take their headsets off.
I
They
guess
walk to a building together, Matt.
I guess this is like just my dumb little simple mind is like, I need to see the scene where they're like, you can call me Artie, or my friends call me Artie, or like, can I call you Artie? Don't you dare. And then he does anyway.
They do.
People call me Z. Parzival. It's in the middle of the word. That also drives me crazy.
Okay. You're being so you right now.
All right, now it's time to talk about the movie, scene by scene, frame by frame, line by line, all 2 hours and 20 minutes of it. Way too long, criminally long.
Jesus Christ.